approximately 10:30 a.m. Present today is Ms. Betsy Wiseman, Dr. Mary Carpos, Quantel Lindsay, Dale Carr, myself, Jerry Bassbinder, Lee Frank, and Mike Sharon. So we have a quorum. We don't have anyone virtual at this time. Executive Director Stahl, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Quantel, would you like to lead us in a prayer this morning?
Yes, sir. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for safe travels. We are grateful for every board member and every executive in this room. We pray for our board members that can't be here in person. Father God, help us today, guide us, make us better than what we were yesterday. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay, well, let's jump right into it. The minutes have been sent out as a transcript, and they are posted on the website as always. So if there's a motion to approve those minutes from our last meeting, I will entertain that now.
So second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for that. Let's move on to the last 30 days. We've had a busy month. Appreciate everybody's work. The appeals subcommittee has been doing some really, really good work, and I applaud them and thank them for, I think they meet almost weekly now. There's been a total of 48 appeals that have been filed since our last meeting. 23 of them have been denied. 2 of them have been approved. 1 was a clerical error, and 1 of the cases was dismissed. And 23 are pending, and I think the appeal subcommittee will meet next week, maybe tomorrow, and finish those out. I do want to bring up one thing that has come up about the appeals subcommittee. As everybody knows, we've got our 3 board members, our chair, Mr. Frank and Mrs. Sheeran, who are the appeals subcommittee now. One of the issues that has been discussed is there are potentially times when a board member who's on the appeal subcommittee will be reviewing an incident that they themselves wanted to change. There's not a rule on the subcommittee right now that requires subcommittee appeal members to recuse themselves, but it may be a good idea in those instances if that board member did so. But that would leave the appeal subcommittee with 2 members. In the small chance that those 2 subcommittee appeal members who are left disagree on a final resolution for that appeal, meaning one might want the appeal to be approved and the other might want it to be denied, we're thinking that it may be a good idea to have another board member operate as an emergency substitute for the appeal subcommittee. Is that what you were thinking, Chair?
Well, that's what we've discussed, which I feel like the 3 of us are very open-minded, and we pretty well discuss out everything. We haven't run into that, but there is the possibility.
Would anyone who isn't on the appeals committee currently be willing to act as an emergency substitute? Okay, Ms. Wiseman, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Only an emergency. I mean, they've been working hard. It hasn't happened yet, but rather than trying to deal with it at that time, maybe, right now we can. So we will put you down as the alternate in those situations. So thank you, man. Appreciate that. Okay. Last month, we've had a number of communications with the Department of Corrections. We were able to receive a slideshow showing the training materials that disciplinary board sergeants receive when they go through their training. So we appreciate the Department of Corrections working with us, getting that over to us. I know there's some outstanding issues that we're continuing to work through, but we certainly appreciate their help in getting that over. We were able to distribute 1,425 cases for the month of June. So I know everyone's working on those currently and appreciate all your hard work on that. We have responded to several dozen correspondence requests, as well as a number of public records requests. So we are in good stead on those things. We were also able to receive last week the second quarter numbers for the DA incident referrals from the Department of Corrections. So we appreciate that getting that to us. We are actually going to start tracking those in our master spreadsheet. So just talk a little bit about that. I really appreciate when everybody can get me their master spreadsheet stuff, because I really use that to determine all of our numbers. And so we are going to try and go back. Tammy and I are going to try and go back, and we're going to be notating which of our cases were referred for outside prosecution using that quarterly district attorney incident referral report. So we may change. You may see that show up if you go into FileNet and look at your own spreadsheet. You may see that extra column there, and it'll just be a sort of outside prosecution, yes or no type thing. But just remember that if you're making any changes or you have any updates to your spreadsheet, just get them over to me and I'll include them in the master spreadsheet, because that's what I go back and refer to when I try and see where we're at or different numbers, which we'll actually talk about a little bit. But just a reminder, that's when you go on FileNet and you look at that most up-to-date spreadsheet, that's what I see. That's what I'm using. So we're going to try to capture the outside referrals as well, just to give us a better capture of what's going on with that. And that's a good segue actually into some of these statistics. So we have, as everybody knows, we're going to have our FY27 budget hearings coming up in a couple of months. We're already getting questions about that. One of the things that I did was I put together some statistics that were asked from us by fiscal as we get ready for those meetings. And I thought I'd share those. I know we talked a little bit about this last time, capturing those. And so what that looks like currently is we've got the 2025 numbers are the percentage of all Class A's that we have looked at for the year is at about 72%. All right. I'd love to get that closer to 100%. We've got some months that, still have some pendings and things like that. So the closer we can get that to 100%, the better. We added so far this year, 333,480 credit days to inmates.
Can you say that again?
333,480 on top of what the Department of Corrections has given them, which was 213,810. So big number, really, really great. That is a 541% increase over what the Department of Corrections would have given them. So very impressive numbers. Wow. And then the total number of credit days that we have returned to inmates, 16,380. So far this year. So really, really impressive numbers. I do want to break that down a little bit further. One of the things that I know are of particular importance to us are the number of dismissals. So cases, incidents are still not supposed to be dismissed. They're supposed to have some type of resolution. So if we look at January, 24% of cases were listed as dismissed. February was 30%, March was 24%. Basically, between January and May, we're looking at an average of 25% of the Class A's are still being dismissed. 25? So 25%. So that's what we still need to figure out. So that's sort of why some of our numbers aren't perfect, because we don't have resolutions for all of them. Now, I will say, going back to January through May, we have on average 5% of our own cases still pending. So please, 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 if you get a chance, go back, review your months. If you have any pendings, take a look at those, send me updated sheets, and that way we can capture as much of those incidents as possible,
Right.
Even as you move forward.
I was going to say on the dismissals, if, they have their 14 days and then they drop off and you don't know why, it's just.
They're not doing that. They don't do that.
No, but it disappears.
You're not supposed to be doing that.
If it dismisses?
Yeah, if it's dismissed,
If it's dismissed off
Yeah,
appeal.
it disappears.
Oh, yeah, okay.
14 days I'm talking. I'm just saying quite a few of mine, I'm seeing when I'm getting to them early enough, cellmate took charge, not guilty, that kind of deal. So the 25% is maybe a little distorted. We know why quite a few of them.
So like I said, all I'm doing is I'm going through that master spreadsheet, and if it says dismissed,
Right.
that's what I'm calculating.
So we need.
If you put dismissed, so if you further break that out for me, then I will be able to differentiate that. Because right now, we just have reduced to B, dismissed, so I basically sort through and I just count. So if that
So maybe
makes
we
sense for
need to
you,
Maybe another color code for not guilty.
we can
I
do
don't
that.
know.
We can do that.
But it's not really not
Somebody
guilty. They didn't
charge.
Yeah, it's not.
take it
Yeah,
to
it's
hearing.
dismissed, right. Well,
But no, but there's a difference
will
between
plead
just
not- they will
dismissed,
plead not
not guilty, or somebody took the charge. We need to differentiate.
right.
Yeah.
Because
So-
that's great.
No, it's a great idea, and we can continue to refine that if, either I can do that on my end with different color codes or whatever, or if you all have ideas on how you want to
We
notate
need a
that.
different word, but
Right.
they're both dismissed.
Yeah, and so, to answer your all's question, I'm just looking through, again, I just go back that all I have is that master spreadsheet. So the more information I can get from that, the better.
I know that Ms. Thomas had said, instead of just dismissed, they're
That's
trying
right.
to have them, which I'm noticing more and more where it says not guilty.
And that's what we want, So, even if you want to go back and take a look at those and notate them, that would be helpful to me. If you just want to do it moving forward, that's okay. But I do want to start tracking those so that we can share that information back with the Department of Corrections and say, hey, we're still noticing that whatever, 5%, 10% of them still are being labeled as dismissed and they're not having a resolution that we can identify.
Do you think the not guilty maybe is a color green? I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Well, yeah, and we could talk about that. I mean, I don't want to take too much time.
I know, but I'm just saying
yes,
it's not
we
guilty
can-
would be a.
we can
do you
absolutely
not
do
think
that.
that term works? That seems like if somebody else, it was somebody else's knife.
I guess they do put not guilty, but to me, not guilty means they had a hearing and they found wasn't guilty of it. Whereas like if they just like Jerry took the charge, so we're not gonna lead to a hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be, we should be counting
To
that.
me,
as
that's a real
dismissed.
dismissal.
Right.
Right.
Should be the
Which-
same, it's just an outright dismissal.
Well, they've really picked up the not guilty
Yes,
on
I have
there,
noticed that.
if you see them.
But they still.
Where they used
some
to
of them
not.
Still like, they'll find whatever in the cell and then you go look it up and they're both just
It's gone.
gone.
Yeah.
And so I put dismissed, but really, I guess I should say,
I put not okay, and then I send them a letter.
well, see, I.
Yeah, which is great. I'm just,
Difficult.
I know we've talked about the question has been asked, how many cases are still being dismissed without a resolution? So I am trying to track those. So if we further break that down, it'll give me a better basis to respond to that question. And we can talk about exactly what we want that to look like. The pendings, and I do want to talk about one other thing when it comes to the master spreadsheet. Next month, you'll see a new column on there, and I may have mentioned this previously. It's going to be asking if it's on appeal. Because the appeals subcommittee has noticed that by the time we send out the action forms, we make a new adjudication, send out an action form, then we get an appeal back that says, hey, the warden dismissed this. And when we reviewed it, it was still under TDOC's appeal. So when we send out the spreadsheets for next month, you'll see a column that says appeal. If you want to mark it that it's still under appeal, as in it's still being appealed, that's fine. Just go back then, once that appeal has finished, and then put it on your caseload for whatever month follows, so that we aren't losing them. Yeah, sir.
By checking the appeals yesterday, I noticed there was actually one of the 18 cases that we got, which we've got 6 more you can send us. Thank you. But one of them was dismissed on appeal and had the appeal form copied in the information that they sent to us. It never was listed and told us that it was just, that there was an appeal. So I'm not sure how accurate that's gonna be.
So it's not gonna be perfect,
It's not gonna be.
I'm not seeing.
but you've noticed a
I've
couple
never
times.
seen one.
I
I've seen one appeal denied, but I've never seen one pending.
Well, did you say there was a box that checks if it's on appeal?
Yes,
At the top.
yeah,
Disciplinary.
yeah, it should say appeal exists, and then it's gonna, it'll reference over on the screen to the right. But this one, I was looking at the appeal and I checked in Thomas and there was nothing.
Yeah.
So,
So it's an imperfect system. So we'll throw the column on there. If it's helpful, great. If not, you can, ignore it and the appeal subcommittee will catch it on the back end, but it'll be on there.
And I just have an observation, not necessarily about appeals, but we all know that when we look and it says that somebody has pled and that they signed a form. And so there have been several times that I've asked to see those forms. And so the most recent response that I received, that my stall was kind enough to request and it was returned to me, the response from the institution is that the requested documents are missing. Now, this isn't the first time that that's been the response when I've asked to see the actual forms that are produced and signed with regard to what we're seeing on the screen in Thomas. And so understanding the position that puts us in accepting that there's something on a screen, but when you ask to see the document that supports what's written on the screen, it's missing.
And which document was it that was
I
missing?
had asked for the 1834 and the 3117. And the response was that the requested documents are missing. And this isn't the first time that I've received that. This is actually the third time that I've received that kind of a response to me asking for, I mean, these are the fundamental documents of the disciplinary hearing.
So these should exist before they put the information in Thomas.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And they're the place that the offender actually signs. So I'm just concerned. Maybe it's just a glitch that I've gotten those. I don't know if any of the rest of you have requested those similar forms. Have you gotten any responses that say the documents are missing?
Yes.
You've gotten that as well. So I
Where would
think
those
that's
normally be kept? Are those kept with like in the,
Records in the facility.
but in the, not like when we visit the facilities, the D board sergeants have an office and then the institutional investigators have an office. Where would those documents be? Would they be in the inmate's file, or would it be like the D board sergeant office, or would it be, you don't know?
Yeah, I'm not an authority on, it's a multiple each one of these forms are multiple copies. And so at a minimum, there should be a paper copy, I believe, in the offender's file, which of course would not be in the D board office.
Mhm.
So you have a mastered records person or personnel who oversee all of the records at that facility, and they would be the records keeper. So how it's not making it from these D board hearings into these places, but my hope would be, since you're requesting it on my behalf, that they're actually looking in those multiple places for it, because it should be actually in multiple places. And so it's taken some time for them to respond, months for them to respond. So I have to believe they're diligently looking for it. But I am concerned that they're not able to find the fundamental documents that substantiate what's being entered in the Thomas.
That's a good point. Yes, sir.
It definitely should be in the inmate's file.
I mean, it should be.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
should be there, no place else.
Yeah, well, the only reason I asked that is because part of what our statutory ability grants us is direct communication with personnel, including wardens and D-board sergeants. I would like to develop a better relationship than we have currently with the disciplinary board sergeants directly. And so if they have copies of it, it would be easiest to just send them an email and say, hey, can you send me a copy of this? It's usually harder to go through like records, or they don't know us, and there's other stuff in there, like HIPAA stuff, that they would probably push back on a little bit. And so that's why I was asking, if we knew exactly where it was, then we could maybe email the warden or email the D-board sergeant or the institution investigator directly and say, hey, can you look through and find your file on this guy and just send us all that stuff? But so it should definitely be in the inmate file. I agree. I was just thinking maybe there's another way we can do it, which would be more efficient than trying to go through their records of people.
Well, their case manager,
Mhm.
every offender would be assigned to a case manager, and their case manager manages that paper file.
Yeah.
So perhaps there.
Perhaps there, yeah. So I'm just trying to think of multiple ways that, because like we've learned, it can sometimes be hard to get direct answers from one person. And sometimes it's, if we can adjust or pivot, it helps us. But yes, sir.
Well, I mean, when we went to more of an institutional, the investigator, they were able to pick up the phone and find out everything that we wanted in 5 minutes. So they can pretty well find out.
Yeah, and that's why I'd like to build better relationships than we have currently with some of those direct contacts, because I think that makes a lot of sense. But I also don't want to ask people to do something that they can't do. So it's just about understanding, some of those internal workings. But we will definitely ask about that in Dr. Carpos and see what answer we can get in return about, how they can explain to us or justify maybe where some of these documents might be, or maybe there's some policy that they're not doing them anymore. I don't know, but we'll try to get some answers on that.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, that wraps up the last 30 days. Any questions or issues on any of that stuff? Okay, we'll touch quickly on outstanding matters. I have a second interview with a very good part-time general counsel candidate tomorrow. Looking forward to that. I will update everybody as soon as that's done. Hopefully that goes well. We had a couple of people that we missed out on. So hopefully third time's the charm here on that. We're preparing for FY27 budget hearings. As those meetings get prepped, I'll let you know what's going on with those. Prepping for legislative committee hearings, which are coming up that everyone knows about. The AG's office is handling the complaint that we're named in, where TDOC is the primary defendant. We'll continue to provide updates on that as they develop. We have the TCI conference coming up, September 22nd through the 26th. As that gets a little bit closer, I'll be talking with everybody about how they'd like to plan for that, how many days they'd like to spend, if they need help getting hotel rooms.
What are those dates again? I'm sorry.
The 22nd through the 26th is the entirety of the conference. I don't think we're going to be there for that long, though. I mean, I think there may be maybe a day or two that makes sense for us, but I do think that's a good opportunity to do some site visits toward the east of the state, which we really haven't had a chance to do. So as that gets a little bit closer, I'd like to coordinate with everybody and just see what everybody can do, what they can make or whatever.
Is this being held here?
No, it's your neck of the woods, sir.
Oh, my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Well, you mean I can't, I'll have to go back home, man.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be home for a couple days. Sorry.
What is that again?
That's the TCI conference.
We talked about this. I can't remember.
Yeah, the Correctional Institute
Oh, yeah.
has their correctional conference. Basically, they do a lot of training, they do a lot of introductions, ideas. And so a lot of it won't pertain to us, but we've been invited to attend by their executive director. And like I said, if we're going to be in that part of the state anyway,
Right.
we may be able to plan,
For sure.
we can hit a couple of spots, and that way we take 1, 2, or 3 day period and knock all that out, as opposed to going back and forth
Yeah.
constantly. So, but everybody's name is in for the conference. So we'll have tickets available to us. It's just a question of hotel rooms, how many days everybody wants to spend, what they want to do when we leave the conference, if we want to travel together or that sort of thing. So Tammy and I will be working on that, and we'll talk a little bit as it gets. So I know everybody's schedule is a little bit different. So I just wanted to. That's real. Yeah. So I just want to throw that out there. Yes, sir.
What I was looking at their agenda, which the TCI conference is mainly in service for the jail administrators and administrative staff of the jails. But on their first day, on that Monday, it's introductions of different people and all. I was thinking, really, because that on their agenda, they really don't have us speaking or anything. I think it's more of us introducing us that we are Inmate Disciplinary Oversight Board. My thoughts were if we were there on that Monday, which we'd have to work on the Sunday, but we're there on the Monday, that Tuesday morning, I've got my great driver, Mr. Sharon, down here. If we take his Secret Service vehicle, but we could, if 4
I
hours,
heard that vehicle goes wherever it wants.
it does.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour drive to Northeast Correctional, isn't that what we figured, Mike?
Mhm.
So we could go to Northeast, come back and either stay back at Pigeon Forge or stay at Knoxville. And then on Wednesday to Morgan County and Bledsoe. And
So drive in Sunday night, stay Sunday night in Sevierville, go to the conference Monday, stay Monday night in Sevierville, leave Tuesday morning, go to Northeast. And then that afternoon, drive to Anderson County, stay with Mr. Frank.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, eat my bed and breakfast,
Okay. And then hit Morgan and what else
Bledsoe.
on Wednesday?
Because I don't think Trisdale is.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
So that's,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
but yeah,
that's
that's,
three nights, 3 days.
yeah.
Okay.
But like, Mike and I, and even if, like, if Betsy was having to stay in Memphis, when we got through with Bledsoe, we could take 24 back into Nashville and back.
And basically get home Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Would leave Sunday afternoon-ish and be home Wednesday night-ish.
Right,
That's a lot.
yeah.
That's a lot.
A lot of time with you.
Yeah.
Or,
much.
do the part that you can.
Right, yeah, exactly,
Exactly.
exactly.
CI, then maybe go to Northeast and go home.
And then maybe go home.
And not.
Or not even do the site visits. I mean, we just want to hit TCI, so, so basically everybody take a look at their calendars. We're talking about the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th.
Correct.
And we can talk a little, as it gets a little bit closer, we can talk more about what works for everybody, and then we can assist with hotel rooms, travel arrangements, et cetera. Okay? But that sounds great. I mean, it would get a lot done in a most compact period of times, but that's also asking a lot of everybody, I know, with families and responsibilities and all that. So, okay, let's take that tentative idea and everybody chew on it, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and maybe finalize what we want September to look like for us.
And thank you, Jerry, for always kind of doing that detail work, finding out, what that schedule looks like. Because like you said, it makes sense for us to be there the introductory day.
Yeah, and PCI's waived the registration, so it's not costing us anything, and we'll actually offer to pay for some of our rooms.
He did, yeah. I mean, we should be okay on that front, though, but he's great. Like, the executive director over there is great, and I do think it's a good opportunity, just like I said, build relationships, talk with some people we otherwise wouldn't be able to, introduce ourselves, little things. So,
Do the correctional officers good?
I think so.
It is,
It's sort of-
PCI does all of the county jails. So it would be all of the county jail administrators and administrative correctional officers.
So something to think about. We'll talk a little bit more about it, but.
And one of the things is like the lawsuit we've got really has nothing to do with us or TDOC. It was where that person was in another county and they changed the law where they didn't get the 2-for-1 anymore after July. Well, they were giving that woman 2-for-1. And when she got in the Department of Corrections, they said, you can't do that. So it's actually a jail's mistake. If that's something that, they'll bring up and discuss it.
Sure. Yeah, but I'm not worried about it, but, but yeah, I do think it's a good chance maybe to talk. So we've got some time, but we'll figure it out as it gets closer. It's a good thing we got people all over state. We've got Mr. Carr we can stay with in Sevierville and Mr. Frank we can stay with in Anderson County. So we're set. I mean, I think
We don't need a hotel.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. So, good. Okay, great. Well, that settles that. Okay.
Well, I have service quarters you can stay with.
Well, you'll have room. Your wife will be on the campaign trail. So okay, so that's updates on outstanding matters. Any questions? Okay, moving on to approving into the record initially reviewed incidents. You can see on tab 2 that I counted 390 for May, which brings us up to a little over 2,000 for the year. Incidents that have been okayed, approved, and can be checked off into the record. If there's no questions about that, I will entertain a motion to submit those into the record.
So moved.
Okay.
Seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you everyone for that. Okay, our next discussion before we get into incidents and cases is a discussion about the review matrix that I know we are taking as much time as we can to understand the details of that so that we can be as consistent as possible internally and with the Department of Corrections and the D boards, how they're handling things. So if you look on tab 3, that's a copy of the matrix. I think we still have a little bit of fleshing out with regard to how we want to treat the second and third lines on there regarding prior class Bs and Cs and how they impact the overall sanction matrix. Ms. Wiseman, I know you wanted some clarity on this, so I was going to allow you to lead this discussion.
Okay, we talked about this last week in our agenda setting meeting, Teams meeting, but I have not been looking at the B's and C's. And I know, so we had the discussion, some of you do all the time, some of you do sometimes, some of you also don't do it. So I just was saying, I think we should discuss this and reach this so we're all doing it the same way. But in the meantime, I think you, Mike and Jerry talk to somebody, and so maybe y'all want to chime in and tell me.
We had a meeting
Oh,
before,
you too.
we had a meeting before the meeting, for about an hour.
Oh, today you did.
Yeah, we're still,
Well, then y'all
it's
leave.
still,
There's still gray, a lot of gray. So
I don't, he thinks there's gray. I don't think.
Well, I think the two competing ideas in general are whether we just look at Class A's or whether we incorporate B's and C's into our analysis. And I know, Mr. Frank, you're of the opinion that if we just look at the Class A's, it's cleaner and easier and it satisfies the matrix. But I think, Mr. Sharon, based on what you've heard from people in the field at different site visits and your own understanding of the matrix, the B's and C's are an important component of
Yeah.
how
we consider our
and he agrees with
determinations.
that to a point.
Okay, so why don't you talk,
The zero, if they've had no Class A's, the way I read the matrix, you can see it says 3 to 4 for if they had, let's say they had no Class A's, this is their first Class A that I'm looking at, and they've got 14 B's and C's, which is over three. They can give, the matrix says they can give them 3 to 4 even for that first time instead of 1 to 2. That's how I read that. And
so if we do
so if
consider
I'm
B's and
seeing
C's,
threes, that's the only time I allow, like if the D board gives them 3 on their very first, they've got no priors. I'm allowing that unless, like I had one case where it was his very first write-up ever, had no B's or C's, he had a TSD or something of that nature. And they took 3 from him. That's not on the matrix. That's not 3 or more. So I took back to
but you
1.
are approving incidents where you can see that the disciplinary board considered B's and C's,
Just on the 0, just when there's no priors.
but that happens.
May I?
Anyway, it's,
Well, the Dale, I didn't say that real
No,
quick.
but about what Lee is saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is directly about that. I agree with you, Lee, that I too am seeing sometimes when there's 0, but they're still taking something.
More than 1 to 2.
But here's just my observation. This is the most often when I see it. There are multiple people involved in that incident. And what I'm seeing is they're giving them each exactly the same. And so I don't necessarily think they're reading the B's and C's. I'm more inclined to think that they are just saying, you 4 did this, we're taking 1, 2, or 3. But they're doing, what I see is they're doing it all the same to everybody who was involved in that incident. So I'm less likely to assume that that had anything to do with them counting the B's and C's.
That's not appropriate under the matrix,
I
right?
wouldn't,
To just give
Right,
everybody the same
and that's
thing.
why I've been
I would
correcting
agree.
them, right?
Jerry had a real good conversation with the guy at Northwest, was it Northwest or West 10?
West End.
What did, and he said on that first one, if they have 0 priors, I thought he's actually looking at that way.
Yeah, if they've got 0 priors on the B's and C's, then it's just 1 to 2.
No, I'm saying, but if it's got 10 B's and C's, I thought you said he can't go 3 to 4.
Yes.
He does. He goes 3 to 4. He goes for the highest out of the matrix across the horizontal and vertical. The most he can take.
So the gray is, we're being told by Linda not to look at B's and C's. And when we've talked to some D board sergeants who are saying they do look at B's and C's. So our great executive director reached out almost a month ago to TDOC asking for clarification, and they have yet to respond. So that's, therein lies the problem. They need to be responsive to us in any question, certainly in this, to explain to us which is it. Is it what at least two D board sergeants are telling us, or is it what Linda's telling us? So that's the gray in my mind.
Right.
Um,
But I want to make it clear, this is, in like to Mary's case, if a guy had zero, if he's got zero priors and they gave him 9, you're coming back to,
3 to 4.
I guess I'm on
Well, it's 1
a,
to
well,
4.
if he didn't have enough Bs, I'm coming back to 1 to 2.
Absolutely.
Unless it's,
But if he did have. no
unless
Bs,
somebody's
would you go 3 to
injured or
4?
it's an IND,
Yes, ma'am.
then, you know, then if there's an IND or something, they can go up to 24 months. They don't have to stay within the matrix. There's 6 of them. What is it, Ray?
Assault.
Rape, sexual battery.
With injury. Okay.
Okay, my question is, do we really care what they're doing? Shouldn't we just do what we think the matrix says? I mean,
Fair point.
I know we talked about, well, we're trying to build a good relationship. We want to support them when they make promises to their inmates and blah, blah, blah. So I guess there's that, but
Well, here's what.
I bet Linda doesn't exactly know.
That's kind of,
Well, she,
What
I
all they're
mean,
doing.
she doesn't. I mean, when we had that meeting, she had to bring in someone from the outside.
So,
that's why we need clarification.
I mean, they're probably
And
doing-
here's, to Ms. Wiseman's point, I mean, we may not get an answer for a while, so what do we do until then?
Right.
Mr. Carr?
Okay. First of all, I point out, I don't care if we do this, we count the Bs and Cs. Legislation says we should count As only. Now, that's where,
Which legislation is that?
what was
It's
passed
for us, our board. Are we only supposed to look at class A?
As only.
well, it says
Well, we
it
are
only takes
looking
time
at-
away for.
we are looking at A's, but you're factoring the B's and C's in and sanctions.
Well, what I was gonna say was, if we're gonna do this, that's fine. When we go to the next meeting and everything, we ask them next year to include in an amendment that says that this is the way
Right.
that we are going to do it, and we don't care what TDOC does.
They don't respond, right? Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's what I'm just, let's just get.
Fix the law.
But let me
together.
ask a question about that. Would
Yeah.
your proposed legislation be that we also look at class B and C incidents, or only that we can consider class B and C incidents when we look at class A's? Because if we also look at class B's and C's, that's a lot more incidents to be looking at. But if we can consider those only when we look at class A's, the number of incidents that we review will remain the same. So what would your proposal be about that legislation?
Only with the A's.
So consider B's and C's, but still only review A's. Got it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I was gonna say. But I don't think the way the statute's written, it prevents us from looking at the Bs and Cs. It just says we can't take time away for Bs and Cs,
Specifically for B or C offense,
which
right?
we're not doing. We're just considering if you.
You're using it for an enhancement
Right.
is what you're talking
Right.
about. But that
I
is,
agree. We should clarify,
but
but
that is taking time for a B, kind of in a roundabout way.
let's just take into account that you have,
Messed up.
Well,
like that.
do you want me to read it? It says the purpose of the board is to review the grant denial and removal of inmate sentence credits by a warden for good institutional behavior and to determine whether sentence credits previously awarded should be removed for commission of a major infraction designated by the department as a Class A disciplinary offense or for an inmate's refusal to participate in an assignment. So if it's designated as a Class A disciplinary offense or it's a refusal to participate in an assignment, we are to determine whether the sentence credits previously awarded should be removed. Now, what we consider to determine whether sentence credits previously awarded should be removed, it is not spelled out. So, I mean, it's up to us. It's up to us how we want to do it.
That's the reason excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yes, no. Yeah.
That's the reason I say, if we do it that way, that's fine. Let's just clarify it next year.
No, it makes a ton of sense.
That way,
Dr. Carper.
we can come back on this.
So I just want to take a step back for one moment, but it does relate to this conversation. So when this matrix was adopted by the Department of Corrections, January 31st, we determined in our public meeting that for a period of 90 days, we would review, I believe, whether or not they're actually following the matrix that has been adopted. But I think if I hear everybody correctly, we're really evolving into, and I'm not opposed to it, how do we feel about this matrix? And how are we going to use this matrix? Which is a different process than taking their matrix, looking at what they're doing, and then saying they're either doing it or they're not doing it. I'm not opposed to us deciding do we want to adopt this matrix? If we do adopt this matrix, what if any changes would we like to make to this matrix? But I,
No,
which
it's a fair-
conversation are we having?
Well, I think the conversation that we're having right now is we are going to use this matrix right now. And we did say for 90 days, but then I think we had a sort of off-air agreement that we would extend that a little bit further. So, February, March, April was the 90 days. Now we're looking at May cases. We're not very much past so I think that's a good discussion to have. Let's assume we don't have that discussion right now.
Oh, right.
And so let's assume that we continue to use this for, let's say, May and June incidents. And then maybe in July, we start to talk about how we would like, and one of the questions we had for Linda was, how hard would it be to change this? So we've already sort of broached that idea. But let's say we're looking at the May, June, and July incidents. And let's say we're going to use this. How do we want to apply it? And then we can start to talk a little bit more about, we know that there's problems with this and we need to do some more changes either internally or externally. But for May's cases, June's cases, how are we looking at this and analyzing it so that we're all analyzing it the same?
Right.
Okay, so to that point, I know that you all have had conversations at various facilities with D-board personnel. And if I heard correctly, at least 2 have conveyed to you that they take into consideration what may have transpired with Bs and Cs. But there's 14 facilities. And so how can we understand how the other 12 are doing it? It could be that these 2 are outliers and the other 12 are just straight A's. But I don't think we yet have enough information about how it's being done if we want to just follow their lead on it. But of course, the other side is we don't necessarily follow their lead. We make a decision here today about how we would like to do it. At least everything's evolving. So this isn't set in stone. But for now, what do most people feel like doing? Either A's or A's plus B's and C's, irrespective of what the department's doing.
Yes, that's basically the question that's posed right now. Is until we can get some clarity and until
Yeah.
they can create consistency, which is their responsibility. What do we want to do, at least for the time being? And we are working very hard on having those conversations and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But just realistically, we look at cases every day. And after this meeting, I mean, we're in the last week of July. We're going to be getting June cases, or July cases, and you're all reviewing your June cases now. So we need a quicker answer than they're going to provide to us. So I do think that right now is an opportunity for us to have some clarity on how we want to do it. And then we will explain to them later on, this is what we've decided to do. If we need to change whatever, are you being consistent? We'll have all those conversations, but I don't think it's a great idea for us to walk away without having some resolution today.
Do we not have this on the agenda for next week to discuss this?
Actually, it's a different issue next week, yeah.
Okay.
I've got Mr. Lindsay and then I've got Mr. Frank, so sorry.
With this matrix, well, if my memory serves me correctly, if there was a component to see how the 14 institutions and the D board, how they would respond and how we would see if it made a difference. And have there not been a difference? Have we not seen that? That's because I mean
There are differences.
That was just what I want to stand out too. We adopted this matrix for 90 days to see how the D board will flow and if they would take things away. And I just want to ask the board, have we saw a difference from that? I thought someone was going to bring that up. Huge difference. So as far as the B's, we didn't talk about that. We had some facilities that were not taking away no time, too much time. It was like, hey, let's give them a chance. Let's adopt their matrix for 90 days and see if there has been a difference. I would like to discuss, have we seen a huge difference and what is that huge difference? And I was waiting for someone to bring that up. That's
phenomenal.
Well, we can have that discussion and I think it's a good one. And I think the answer will be, I mean, it's been significant. But really for for the purposes of this discussion, because we do kind of want to stay on task and make sure we get to the actual incidents and cases. The question before this board right now, today, is when we look at the matrix, are the board members only looking at the number of prior Class A's when determining which box applies to the inmate? Or are they if it's a first Class A offense, are they also going back and looking to see how many B's and C's that inmate had?
That's exactly, you're absolutely correct. Me going back, why I brought that up, because I believe every time we're getting close to the 90 days or with the matrix, we're moving the goalposts. Like when we adopted this matrix, it was just see if T-Dot, if we agreed with them to adopt this matrix and look at it, would something change? And now we're past the 90 days and now we're adding the B's and C's in and we're bringing it, which is a fair discussion. I just didn't know in the beginning, we adopted this matrix to add in the B's and C's. And that could have solely been because I was emailing or missed that part, adopting the 90.
Well, the thing is, we adopted this matrix in February.
Okay.
So the matrix hasn't changed. The problem is that when we first adopted the matrix, everybody thought they were reading it the same way.
Okay.
And now we're discovering that some people actually are reading it a little bit differently. And so we've been able to determine that now that we've got some experience utilizing the matrix and using the matrix to determine the outcomes of incidents, we've evolved in that direction. This is really the last piece of it, is we're just a little bit off. There are a few cases where some people are doing it a little bit differently. Not many, but for the purposes of 100% consistency, when we do reach that particular incident and those particular facts, how are we all looking at it?
Yeah.
And I know Mr. Carr's hand.
No, I'm gonna land. Then thank you for that last piece of clarity. I redact my statement of the goalpost being moved in.
Yeah.
You just fixed it. Thank you for that last one.
So I think what we're saying is if we get a and there's no priors or anything, that's when we're looking at the B's and C's to see what it is. And that's the way we're going to keep it. That would be great, because if you look at an A and he's got 18 A's, you're going to throw it at him anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I can sort of go along with
But
that.
they can't go crazy though. They can only go up one more notch, 3 to 4. So it's not a huge amount of time they're adding for that.
Okay, I have two questions. Just looking at the matrix while I'm listening to everybody, so do you like go back and if they have 2 prior A's, but then a bunch of B's and C's, do you give them 9 to 12?
So
Because you could under the matrix.
right. So I'm not
Maybe I
doing
just
that.
explained
What I'm doing is respecting the D board's decision when I see B's and C's. So for example, here's a case for June, Bledsoe. This inmate received, it was a RTP, 4 months of sentence credit reduction. He or she had 0 A's. But I make a notation on my spreadsheet that this person had 8 B's and 5 C's. So I put that as okay.
Yeah, that is okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's not what everybody else was doing because,
I was not doing.
right.
Well,
So what
Dr.
I'm doing
Lucas
is
say
I'm not looking at B's and C's to add, I am not taking away more sentence credits than the D board took away based on B's and C's.
But why not?
We could,
I mean, if we're
because
gonna use the
because
matrix.
I'm waiting for clarification
well,
from someone at TDOC
You've
to
got-
tell us
But I don't
to
know
make
where.
sense of that.
here's the thing,
We need to change, we need to change the law.
you've got Linda Thomas and Attorney Center and
I
and
think we have to change.
I know Deborah Johnson, they only look at A's. We know there's that group that only look at A's. And then you've got the West 10 guy so it's really TDOT's issue
Yes.
that they've not said, do it this way.
It is,
You don't
but-
have
Or maybe they
this-
did and they don't.
But it's
You
our,
got
it's our
Gordon's doing it this
issue.
way and this
I mean,
way.
it's our issue to the extent that we're reviewing cases now.
Well, but yes, but if
But I go with Mary, if it's
Position
Linda Thomas.
that we're just here to, not just, I don't mean it that way, that if the numbers aren't lining up by reading the A, we're going to then drop down to a different column to read. And then if it seems to line up that way, then we're gonna put ourselves in the mind of the person who held the hearing and say, that must be why they put a different number. They aren't telling us that's why they put a different number, but I'm
They are.
deducing, well, some are,
Yes.
but I'm deducing that I'm uncomfortable with the notion that I'm gonna try to get in the mind of the person who did that.
Assuming that.
Yes, and I think if we do that, fundamentally, I think the statute was about us assisting the agency in creating standardization and uniformity. And it continues to sound like the 14 facilities do 1, 2, or 3 different things. And I don't know if we come to the conclusion that we're not going to look at these others unless somehow they deviated from the top line. That to me creates even more confusion. So for me, it's clear. It's just the top line. I feel like the agency needs to sort that out with their
Yes.
own people.
They do, but let's assume that that's not
I'm just
gonna
a top
happen.
liner.
Okay, top line, great,
Top liner.
great, okay. Can, anyone else who's got an opinion that tracks Mary's approach, which is, this is how she feels it should be read?
I mean, I would be that way as well. I mean, I understand the 3 to 4. Linda Thomas, Mary's got a good point. There's chain of command. She's above these wardens. And so, I
But
mean,
the
you can,
reality is it's probably never gonna change. I mean, like.
well, I mean, I think it could if they just sent out a new sheet that
but-
just had
but
one
assuming
line
that
on it.
The D board's
Well,
gonna,
that's what they should do, because it doesn't make sense to have Bs and Cs listed. And
Well,
they're
in the
not-
And we're gonna work on that.
conversation, she
We're
said-
gonna work-
well, and
she did. I mean, I-
She's doing that.
Yeah, and we asked that question. We did. We asked that, we
Yeah.
asked that question. Hey, can you, we'd like to discuss this with you, but what would it take to change it? We think there's some confusion here. So, we will continue to work on
There's
that. But
clearly confusion if
there's
they're.
100%
doing it
confusion,
differently.
but there doesn't have to be confusion for us.
That part.
And so what do we want to do? And then we will disseminate that out. We will have continued discussions with them about, this is what we think you should do. This is what we think should look like. This is what we're doing. We can do at least that much. And so I think I hear from a number of board members that it would be their preference that we only look at Class A's when we utilize this sheet for the determination of the sanction. But we have 4 other board members. Okay, we have another one in the.
no, I want to say something.
Oh, please, Ms. Wyman.
I am happy to go along with the consensus, but my own personal opinion is that we adopted the matrix in total. So I either think we do the matrix in total, or, I mean, that, to me, that's what we should be doing. Now, if y'all don't want to in practicality, that's fine. But I don't think we should sometimes use the B's and C's, sometimes not. Like, either we're gonna do
Right.
only A's, or we're gonna like follow it and say, well, if you have a prior A and a C, we can go up to 9 to 12, or whatever. That's,
Well, I think that's what we're talking about.
well,
That's what we're talking about.
no, I think even, he was saying, I only use it to reconcile their decision. Like, he's not
Correct.
using it in evaluating. Like, if they have 2
Adding-
prior A's,
Adding more time, right?
yes, adding more time, I guess is what it is, right?
Right.
I mean, I personally think if we're gonna deviate from just looking at A's, then we do the whole matrix.
That's
Okay, I
If
think
that
that's
makes
fair.
sense.
That makes total sense, and I think that's very fair.
I just-
Yeah.
I just have.
I'm sorry, Mr. Frank.
Well, I was just gonna say, if we're still deciding to throw this out, is for this month and next month, use the A's, which may still look at things. And then we come down and we're gonna start using the whole matrix, and then we tell, Ms. Thomas and stuff, this is what we're doing. You can get your Mordens up to the speed or not.
Well, that's fair, but it still begs the question, what do you want to do for the next couple of months?
Well, I said for the next couple of months, use the A's.
Just the A's.
Yeah, until we do the probationary period, or if it's been extended, and then, or we can decide right now. I mean, it's entirely up.
Well, I think the question is, do we go just A's, or we adopt the entirety of the matrix and follow it to its black and white letters? Mr. Lindsay? Just A's.
Oh, just A's for me.
Okay. Ms. Wiseman, what would be your preference to adopt the entirety of the matrix? Okay. Mrs. Sharon,
What's the question?
would it be your preference for at least the time being, until we can work with TDOC on understanding their approach and providing consistency among their facilities? For right now, would it be your preference that we look the matrix and only look at Class A's, or that we look at the entirety of the?
I have a real problem with giving someone, reinstating time that the D board took without knowing the training and the true TDOC policy. So yes, the whole matrix.
The whole matrix, okay. So,
If you're twisting my arm, I'm just ace.
okay.
I mean, I understand the other, but I mean, it's just, I just look at this class B and C line. It goes 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 3 to 4.
But then Ms. Wiseman's saying if you go underneath, it gets further complicated.
We could take a lot more time.
We'll be taking a lot more time when
Yeah.
we go down to
Yeah.
that fourth line.
Mhm.
Because you can have 1A and 1B or 1A and 1C, and you're already at 5 months. So we're gonna end up taking a lot more
Yeah.
time
I don't.
by
I-
using the
I
lines
just think it's so
4, 5, and
confusing.
6.
Why
Whoever
have it on the
drew this.
matrix?
I-
It's not,
I
no,
don't-
not you, TDOC. Yeah, that's the question that they need to answer, and she couldn't. You know,
But
No, she just
I agree
says
with Mary.
read
she was
line
aged,
A,
but
that's what she
then
says.
why is it on the matrix?
Agreed. And like Dr. Carpenter said,
I mean, it's
if we
frustrating.
adopt the whole matrix, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of time removed. There's gonna be a lot, this hope for synergy is gonna go out. There is gonna be a lot of correcting them, which I have no problem with. Want to make that clear. But if we adopt the whole matrix, then there's gonna be little time restored, gonna be a lot of correcting them. We're gonna be oversight for the board. We're gonna live up to that
But
part
it's
of our.
their matrix. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
they created this.
You are
Well,
right.
the theory is they wanted their people to be using it and they're not. And our job is to oversee them and make
Oversee
sure
them.
they're doing it right.
And
This is like.
strong
why
point.
we're
They're
creating
not using it. And they're just not using their own matrix. So that's just.
By their own admission, this is not an evidence-based created matrix. The matrix that they use for classification, the matrix that they use for deciding programming, all of those were evidence-based created tools to be used, and they are in statute. This is not in statute. It wasn't created on the basis of evidence. And by their own admission, they revealed in meetings that, they drew some boxes and they kind of looked at what the old policy was, and they wanted to get rid of the idea of zero. Because the old policy allowed them to do zero, and
That's
that
what
was
they
the
did.
default. They were doing
But we
zero,
voted
zero,
to
zero.
use it.
Yeah.
I think.
But I don't
90
think they
days.
did the math to really, and then to think about how many offenders, how many have an A and a C combination? And that's what evidence-based means. You look at what percentage of this population in 18 months has an A to C combination. And if you in fact give them a minimum of 5 months sentence credit reduction, what's the consequence? What's the result from doing that? I mean, evidence-based matrices take a long time to construct because you can't just write a number in a box. You have to look at how that disproportionately affects a whole element of your population. So I think they tried to do their best to meet our initial concern. Our initial concern was 0, 0, 0. And they did a good job at addressing that. We all agree they're taking a lot more time than they used to. So, I want to give credit where credit is due there, but the construction of it lacks a foundation of evidence that would make sense of how it is constructed. So that does make me reluctant to employ it, but if the group agrees we're going to employ it, I can just do the math and say 1A and 1C, I'm going to be taking 5 months.
Well, why is that bad?
Because
I don't
we
think
would be
it is.
changing absolutely every one of theirs.
Not
I
necessarily.
mean, yeah,
Until
we
they
would.
start
And
using
12
their
of the
matrix.
facilities.
As most of them, it would be, our list
It's
would be
more than two.
enormous.
It's more than 2.
Well,
I can show
but
you
that's my
examples of
point.
just about every
I
person.
just,
I-
but we're hearing from the main boss over this that just look at age.
You
I
have to
just,
ask somebody to come in to help answer some of those questions because
I just think they're
And
doing a
now
real,
hasn't answered in a month.
We're not even
I
talking-
don't think if she were truly concerned, she'd be like, oh, no.
think of the chaos in
If we hadn't asked,
the chaos in the
very
prison
specific.
is gonna be every
Tried multiple
inmate
times.
we're sending letters to, every inmate. We're gonna be sending
I
tons
just
of
feel
letters.
like, I mean, this is exactly why we were created. This is just like, well, I'm willing to do it, but I'm not willing to do it the full way. Don't get me wrong, it's gonna be more work for me, so I'm not like thrilled about it, but I think that's what we should be doing. If we're voting on what I think we should be doing,
Well, that opens up the next question, and you're leading the discussion, so I'll let you make this
well, I missed the
determination.
meeting before the meeting.
Well, no, this is it. I think we can either do one of two things today. We can entertain a motion, if there is one, framed however someone who wants to make the motion wants to frame it. Or we can, continue to do what we've been doing, which is, the individual board members interpret the matrix as they see fit. And, we will continue to try and get as much clarity as possible with PDOC. But that's really the two ways that we can do this. So I'll just leave that out there. But I don't want to spend too much time on this. I do want to get to these.
Isn't there a meeting today? Maybe that meeting today with the governor's.
Yeah, I think that's a better
Impress
question
upon them
for our chair.
This problem and this question that we've asked nearly a month ago, maybe they can put some pressure on the
Yeah.
powers that be to answer that question, and then we can revisit this next week or sometime in the near future if we can get a response from them.
Chairman?
Yes, Ms. Wiseman, Mr. Lindsay and myself have a meeting at 4:30 with our planning authority, just as a yearly catch up. But I have a list of things to present, to the governor's office on problems we're having. And one of those is determining the Bs and the Cs on this. Hopefully, which Ms. Wiseman is not going to be in person, but she's going to be on the phone. Quantel and I both will be over to Capitol this afternoon. Our hope is we'll present this to the governor's office, and prior to our next month's meeting, the governor's office is wanting to set up a meeting between us and Department of Corrections and do a memorandum of understanding, so everybody will be on the same page and working. So the three of us should find out a little something this afternoon, but it's you know, when I look at it, I understand the prior Bs and Cs when they only have 0 prior As. I look at the 3 to 4. I see a lot of that. And when Mike and I have visited the prisons, and actually at West Tennessee, it's 2 prisons. You've got the men's prison on one side, the women's on the other. So you got 2 D-board sergeants. They take into effect the matrix. We left from there and we went up to Northwest in Lake County. The D-board sergeant up there said, yes, I take in the matrix. You know, a lot of these guys wanted Northwest. I think he's been on it for over 2 years. He's been sergeant and was training a new person. They look at the matrix, but I think Whiteville and Hardeman County both said that. Kearney Center was the one the warden said that he told them just to look at the A line. But I'm thinking South Central, they were looking at the Bs and Cs, definitely on the no priors.
It's on the no prior though,
Yeah.
right? They're not looking at it like Mary's
But they-
example where they bumped it to 5.
Well,
Right?
but they're,
That's a totally different example.
when Mr. Sharon and I was talking with the D-board sergeant, last week, that we had spent a good 30 to 45 minutes talking to prior to meeting the wardens, because we happened to be there on the day they were doing the execution, so they were all locked down. And the sergeant was very nice. He sat there and was very open with us. And he was from the men's prison. So he said, I'm just telling you what, we do it. And we talked to him again, and he said, I look at it where I can take the most time. And like Mr. Sharon was giving him, some references at Thomas, and he was on Thomas looking at it himself, and he was figuring it up, and he was coming up with at times where we would see it was 5 to 8, and he said, I would give him that. Because he was figuring in there's another 1 to 2 that could bump it up.
So he was looking at Bs and Cs.
Yeah, but he said, you know, his quote, I think, was, I'm very cautious on taking the Bs and Cs into effect outside of the matrix because I don't want to do anything that's gonna put me on the opposite side of being the D board chairman and being in the institution instead of being the chairman. He said, because I can't take time away. It's not justified.
But the further complicating fact to that is, I mean, when we heard from headquarters themselves, they seem to say something completely different. And so we've got a real disconnect between the people in the field and the people upstairs. And it kind of leaves us in the middle, which again, I think begs the question, well, what do we want to do right now? At this moment in time?
And as far as the clarity, I won't name the prison, but one of the prisons that Mr. Perrin and I were at, we were talking about sentence extension. The warden never heard about a sentence extension, and it's specifically a 502-02 about.
And I think that's on your list, right, to discuss with them is how we provide some clarity on that as well.
And TDOC is taking, they are extending sentences. I've seen, actually, I saw one on my June cases that actually has a 6-year and something extension, but 5's the most they can extend it. But I have seen a Shelby County case that had 40 years and 100%, and then he got a 5-year extension, and they were making him do a flat 25 years. So they are extending it, but then we actually have wardens that say, well, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's not,
I mean, you have
it's
to
not
consider like.
satisfactory.
Are you A's or, I heard everyone
Training,
else.
training, like these people,
I'm-
attorneys.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had Dr. Carpenter's hands up for this.
I am looking at the Bs and Cs on, don't have no prior,
Just,
because I see
I think
some of the people
we're
was
just trying
trying
to
to
figure out mentally if we're moving in a
We
direction.
make a motion today, we did a discussion.
I think just discussion.
Dr. Corpus, did you have your hand?
Well, and I don't want to, not at least bring up the point, because I do think, obviously it's a legal point, and I'm not an attorney, but if Bs and Cs can't have time removed, I'm uneasy with the notion of using the B and a C as a way to combine with an A to take more time away. So that's kind of a roundabout way of taking time for Bs and Cs. I have trouble.
But to your point, that's a larger discussion about then we aren't satisfied with their matrix. Because if that's what the matrix says and we use the matrix, then, then.
But if the matrix defies what this
And,
statute.
well, that's a larger issue to say, well, we're not going to adopt your matrix because of that reason. So
We don't really know that because you've got some doing it one way and some doing
I
the
don't-
other.
I
I
don't
think there's
disagree.
confusion about what
there's
it says.
a great deal of confusion.
I don't
but
think it's
what I
like
think
they're
what we
breaking their
can-
own matrix. I
What
just
we
think
can
they're
clarify,
confused.
what we can clarify so that we aren't confused among the 8 board members is right now, are we in a position and do we want to require all board members to analyze the matrix in the exact same way? Or do we want to allow the board members the discretion to analyze the matrix as they have been? And have a discussion on that resolution at a later date? Have we discussed and considered our opinions enough at this moment in time that a board member would like to make a motion requiring that all the board members analyze the matrix in the same way? Or have we not had enough of that discussion to do that? Now, that's all on you. I can't make motions, but I think maybe we start thinking about that. Because we've had good discussions, robust discussion, all valid points. So do we continue to discuss or do we
Make a,
make a motion? Are you making a motion, sir?
oh, I was,
Or are you just completing the sentence?
I was completely.
Okay.
Jerry threw his hand up.
Okay, yes, sir.
I just, and this is just an opinion. You two are the only attorneys in the room, but from dealing with the county jail, because we had to do the Thomas and enter sentence credits and all that, I think the problem is the original old matrix. The one that had 0 to 9, 0 to 12, 0 to 15. If you looked at that, you could take time away for Bs and Cs. And what happened is before that, when that matrix was written, in the 80s, they changed it up that it went from good conduct time to PRCS or PC,
PRSC.
yeah, PRC time, PP. They had PPSC and PR. So,
PRSC.
well, in the old days, they could take time for Bs and Cs. Well, they copied this new matrix basically off the same format as the old one, and they've got conflicting information going across the matrix here. So I think, and to me, if TDOC eliminated everything below where it says prior class A's and took away the B's, C's and all, and it would make it simpler. But by the way they have their matrix written, it clearly says on no priors, if you have enough B's, that they can bump it.
I mean,
So-
that's the point. That's, you
And
know,
I'm like Mr. Sheridan, I have not been taking any additional time away for the Bs and Cs, but that person that I look at a D board, say Bledsoe, and, this guy was his first possession of a deadly weapon, but he had like 10 Bs and Cs where you're fighting and, interference, or not interference, because that's an A, but just, all these Bs, and I see that they took three months, or they took 4 months. Well, I know that they have that ability. Now, I still have problems when I see someone that I know has 2 prior A's, that's 5 to 8, and I see 9, and I have trouble factoring that. I've been giving back money.
Yeah. When it comes to the A's, fellow board members, are we looking at someone that caught an A, say last month, but hadn't had any incident for 2 years? Are you still sticking to the matrix with that A? Despite that this person hasn't, you said you are, Mrs. Wiseman, this person hasn't been in any trouble for 3 years, but it's an A.
I think it does take
18 months.
18 months. Yeah. So if it's 24 months,
No,
18, so 18 months.
I'm going back 18.
Just was like, if are you looking at the A like, wow, this guy, he or she hasn't done anything in 18 months, but he caught an A, you're still sticking with that matrix?
Yeah, 1 to 2.
Okay, 1 and 2, okay, that's fair. And the B, even if we're not considering the B to take time, but if most of us are looking at the B to make our decision factoring into the A, we are kind of, Lee said it a while ago, we are kind of in a robust way using the B to take away time. If you're looking at all those incidents. So I just think we got to get uniformity. If we're gonna adopt the whole thing, we got to adopt the whole thing. If we're not, we're not. I believe going back to Mike sharing, I think waiting on TDOC or those that be, I think we'll keep having this discussion month after month.
Well, again, and I'll, not to beat that horse, hoping that the meeting today produces that result.
that's
good.
I think we wait. That's just my.
And I have a copy of the new matrix to present to them.
Okay.
They haven't seen it at Capitol, so I have a printed out copy to leave with them.
Well, I mean, everyone's had a chance to talk a little bit, and I really like the discussion. I think it's healthy. I think we're right on point. Why don't, at this point, I open up to the floor and ask if there's any motions after the discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that for the next 60 days, we focus on top line class A's. And we allow the agency to continue to work with their staff to determine how they may want to, in relationship with the governor's office, present a different matrix to us. That gives them some time to work on it, but it gives us an opportunity to be uniform in how we're doing it for the next 60 days.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Frank. Okay, let's do a roll call vote on that. Dr. Carpos, how do you vote on that?
Aye.
Mr. Lindsay? Aye. Mr. Carr?
Aye.
I
Aye.
No.
Ms. Wiseman? Okay, it passes. So the motion is that, for the next 60 days, the board will only look at the Class As to consider sanctions. And we will continue to work with TDOC on a better understanding and analysis of the matrix in total. Dr. Carpo, since it's your motion, would you be okay if prior to the 60 days, if we were to gain clarity and someone were to want to make a motion to amend that motion so that we don't have to wait the 2 months, would you be okay with that?
Oh, absolutely. At the next meeting, we may have a whole different set of facts in front of us, and it would make sense to revisit it.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I've got a question, I guess, of clarity. You're saying that we're gonna only go by the A line? If they've had no priors and it's their first A, but the D board took 3 to 4 months, we're gonna return it to 2?
Yes, I would return it to, when they take more, I usually, if there's a range, I go for whatever the high end was. So if they took 3, I wouldn't break it back to 1. This is me personally. I put 2. So it's not, I get as close as I can get to whatever. But like I said, my concern is that I'm seeing an incident with multiple actors and they're assigning the same sentence removal to every one of those actors, whether or not the priors line up or not. So I'm always just looking to try to be uniform, given the context. But we have a whole nother subject that we're going to be talking about at the next meeting that feeds into all of this. So we're very hopeful that you'll come back from the meeting and we'll see some movement that will help all of us, because we're just all struggling to do the best we can do reading our cases. But
I think we're doing a good job. I mean, I don't mean to send the message that, struggling is maybe a strong word. It's just we've gotten to the point now in our evolution where we can substantively, we are at a really strong place. And there are some fringe questions that we're continuing to refine. And that's what we should be doing. We should be getting better and then continuing to refine. And this is one of those questions. So it's an evolution.
And
But I mean,
here's why
90% of it is going
here's why
very
I
well.
use the word struggling. I'm struggling to make sense of what some D boards are doing on some particular cases. I didn't mean we're struggling
Okay.
as a board.
Okay.
I mean, I think we've read these cases a long time.
Yeah.
We have a really good grasp of that. I'm always trying to understand why they came to the conclusion that they came to before I put it on my docket.
Sure. No, I think that's
So,
right. That's right.
But I think from what we've heard, they're struggling at these
I think
14
that's-
institutions to understand what they're being instructed to do and how to deploy them.
Well, I think the individual institutions probably are struggling, but when you take a larger view and you look across, the consistency is struggling. And that's more of a headquarters issue that hopefully we can continue to, assist them in fixing.
Last thing I would like to say, though, I'm sitting here looking at my June or my May, and I looked at June earlier. From where they were a year ago
Right.
to now I don't want to just trash on, there are some confusing things about this matrix, but I think every prison, I don't have any prison that's not trying to, you have some mistakes. I think maybe they miscount the A's, or maybe they don't go back for the next page, or for whatever reason. But I'm giving back, and I'm giving time back. I'm taking time pretty similar right now. So
No, the
I think
individual
these
institutions.
some of these are mistakes that they're just making.
Sometimes they just don't look at the matrix. I mean, it's just obviously.
Right.
That happens.
Because, who knows who's on the D board that day or
That's
whatever. I mean,
true.
who knows what
Yeah.
happened,
But they're doing night and day
Oh,
from where they were.
100%.
Yes.
I will say
Yeah.
that. To me, they are.
And that's what I mean about, we're doing really, really good things, but you continue to refine, until you're 100%. And that's just.
But what happens when Linda Thomas says we're only looking at the A's? And then we keep getting like the same results? Because that's what I expected.
Well, that's when we assist them in requiring and providing a plan to retrain so that there's consistency across the board. So I think, we can there will be answers to that question when that verbiage comes. But for today, what I've heard is that we'll take that approach internally so that we're consistent. We'll only look at the A's, and then we are going to continue to do a full court press for higher answers. And as soon as we can come back to the table and have some clarity on the matrix, we will rediscuss this. Okay. Well, great. Thank you, everybody, really. Okay, we're a little bit behind, so let's just jump right into our discussion of incidents and cases, led by our chairman. Unless, do we need a break? Does anyone need a 5-minute break?
I'm scared. I'll be back.
Okay, well, let's just plow ahead then. So you can see that our chairman's tab. Yeah, so Ms. Wise, I actually had you first, Jerry.
Okay.
So.
She's ahead of me, mostly, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's ahead in the tabs, so let's just jump to your tab. She stepped down away, but on the agenda, you're next, so, let's just follow the agenda. It'll keep me in line.
So she's not on the agenda.
She should be on the next page, no?
She's not. So I think the assumption was she would talk about her cases.
Okay, all right, well, she's out for it right now. Let's, we'll jump to her last.
Yeah, these are my main cases. I still have 4 pending as of yesterday. I checked. And, I actually feel like that 3 of the 4 are actually in one case in, one county, and one person took responsibility and the other ones are just sitting there. So I think they'll end up being probably dismissed. But on my May, this doesn't look like it's got up on myself.
It's not everything.
It's just May, all he got in there.
Yeah, let me pull up my May. That's it.
Is it not just 2 pages?
Let me just double check.
We did send out a revised one, right?
Yeah, because
What are we looking at?
Chairman Vastbinder's revised spreadsheet for the meeting, his revised docket. We're just making sure that that's got all the cases on there, the incidents that he wanted to bring.
sorry, I'm slow and left my mouse at the house. I would say while I'm pulling up my,
So Jerry, that's the one you sent July 19th? Is that the revised one?
let me double check. What I did is I went back and I had been going straight A's. And it was only like 4 or 5 cases I changed where they were taking 3 to 4, where the priors figured in with the B's and C's were figured in with no prior A's. And I did change that after we met with the D board sergeant.
Okay. Well, it looks like what got sent out on the 19th is what got printed.
Right.
Yeah, that was, it looks like this, yes. This is it.
This is it. Okay. So it looks like we've got,
The D board took 30 months, going by the matrix, it bumped it up to 84 months, so I have an additional 54 months. And that's, for credits to be withdrawn. I have credits to be returned, just in 3 prisons. The D board had taken 78 months, by the matrix. I reduced that down to 62 months, so it was a difference of 16 months.
And that's at 6 prisons.
That,
For the return of credit at 6.
right. And it was just 3 prisons, Northwest, South Central, and Drysdale Tournament.
Any particular trends or issues?
On the returns, basically, it was where they were hitting 9 and I was dropping it to 12. As Dr. Carpo says, if they've gone over it, I go to the next highest I can out of it. Like, they had, taken 5 and it should have been a 3 to 4, so I dropped it to 4. So overall, the trends I see are the D boards are doing much improved as far as looking at the cases and getting regular. In the June cases, I'm definitely seeing more that are actually notating not guilty when you see a dismissal. And as Mr. Sharon said, you will see some of them that put in the notes that the co-defendant accepted the charge, but then it's just saying dismissed. Well, you know, if you look, the guy pled not guilty, but they're dismissing it. But that's one of those, it's Ms. Wiseman saying was it just dismissed or was he not guilty? That's a question. If they put not guilty, what I've been doing is where we have the offender's name in there, where we have to make modifications. I've been putting where the offender's name is that the person was found not guilty by DWI. Just for my record, I know it's not helping, you know, in the master sheet, but I am notating.
No, it helps. It helps. I mean, you know, so we can go back and look. All that helps.
But that's overall, May was good. June, I'm down to 16 prior, all I've got left. And I can tell y'all, get ready. July is gonna be, we will probably hit 2,000 cases easy.
Ew, why?
Right.
They can flip and
I
sell.
second that.
Oh, really?
The heat,
I know.
from running the jail, even though it's
In the
air
summer, it's
conditioned, when it's hot outside, it gets wilder inside.
Full moon, right?
Yes. But I'm at the first 20 days of my 7, I'm at 781 incidents. We still got 10 more days to go. So Lee we're usually pretty close, so we will definitely hit 2,000.
It's a lot. Close. Okay. Any questions on the review of Chairman Bassminder's incident before we do our vote? Okay, great. I will entertain a motion to adopt that docket.
I make a motion that we adopt Chairman Bassminder's docket. Thank you for your service.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, sir. We will move on to Mr. Carr. You're up, sir. You're the next tab in the workbook.
Thank you. Fellow board members, as you can see, I think that we're getting closer to the D boards are doing a pretty good job. And of course, as you see now, my one total months that I'm taking off for this particular May was 179 of those cases, and that's a little bit significantly less than what I have been doing, but that falls within the scope of what we've been doing things. So that's my ones about the ones I'm taking time away. Then the ones I'm reinstating back time, Tammy had called me about this one incident on the South Central down there. And it had 24 months for indecent exposure and no prior. So I come back for 12, but Chairman was telling me that most all of them now are doing 24 months on an indecent. So that's, I mean, I'll leave that up to the committee if they want to change that, but But if not, I'll go with the, only 59 credits going back, for this month of May then.
I'm confused. Say that again about that indecent exposure. I'm sorry. They took away 24 months? And you want to reduce that by 12?
That's
Because he has no prior.
no prior instance, but,
That's an indecent exposure.
No, I understand that, but
well, I mean,
I
that's,
looked at it too.
and that's what, he was saying, so I'd be glad for you to go back and change that back, because I hadn't looked at this about the indecent exposure, so, I mean, I don't care a bit, go back to, just void that out like I did the other one last time.
His case has been referred to the district attorney's office, so.
Yeah,
Ah,
it has
It'll
been
be
referred.
prosecuted, so.
So as far as I'm concerned, I'll make a motion myself then to just to delete that,
Strike it.
strike it.
I second that.
Second.
So, okay, then you got mine, that will reduce it, the only amount taken off then would be 47. And then, I'll stay with, adding 179 on that one then. And I'll look at those, indecents a little closer. I went back and looked at it again today and refreshed my memory on it. It was, they caught him in a different sale even, okay, than his own sale.
Tammy, can you make a note of that?
Yes, I just did.
Okay, great. Okay, any, trends, any issues that you're seeing that you think are important to?
No, I'll watch that trend next time on that, and,
Dale, I would notate,
okay, no tape there, buddy.
not all of them are doing it. There will be some that it's kind of, I know West 10 gives 24 and several others, but some are still doing matrix.
Well, I mean,
But you
the
can't
man,
do it.
excuse me, man or lady's in there and they can't control themselves and they need it put to them, really,
And actually on your docket, 5 up, from the ones on page 2, where they're taking away, look 5 up at, it says Whiteville. And that's an indecent. What you've got here is 7 priors. 7 priors,
Mm-hmm.
7 priors, and they took 12 months. No,
Well, it took
no,
6,
they took 6, yeah, I'm sorry, I read
I
it
did
wrong.
6 more to make it
They
better.
took 6 for somebody with 7 priors for indecent.
So I was bringing it back up to 12 like that other one, but if you want to bring it back to 24, I don't care either. If you want to make that one,
Should that be 12?
yeah, make it 12. Get it, and
And that's what you have on the docket,
Yeah.
to make it 12, to take a total of 12, but are you saying we should take 24?
I'm saying, I look at mine, like I had one where the guy did what he did with a counselor beside him and then grabbed her arm and tried to have her.
Oh, that's much.
And so they took 24. I think some are,
They're in.
I usually live it, if they took 2, yeah, I mean, I usually bump mine up to 12 or 15.
12 or
something like that.
15, okay.
But I
Not
don't go to
necessarily 24.
24, but if they go 24, then I'm like, well, maybe they know something,
Sure.
that's their prerogative to do. It doesn't say you have to go to 24, but you can.
let me look that one up real quick and refresh my memory. I was telling the chairman here when I get dealing with my mom. Right, let's see, 167, 71. 167.
Are you looking something up, Dale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking that one up.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. The formatting on a lot of these dockets has gone great. It's just so easy to, when you're adding up how many you're adding for that month or returning. It's, me personally, I really appreciate it. It just makes it very clean when we're trying to do our numbers. So thank you. I see that with Chairman Bassbinder, Mr. Carr's dockets. It just is really nice. So not necessary, but very nice.
So if it pleases everybody, I'll have you go ahead and change that one then, and I'll look at those a little closer next time on these exposures. Change that one from adding on 6, I'll make it add 12. That way it'll be 24 month also to match the one that I done and took the one away from down here, if that's okay.
So if we add 12, would that be, and they gave 6?
You did it. You bumped it. I bumped it, well, I mean,
So you want to bump to 18?
I'm gonna bump it to 18 and make it 24. There we go. Yeah, 18 and 20.
Okay.
Okay, so 18 more in the more column
In the more column, yeah,
Gotcha.
18 more than more.
equals
Okay.
24.
equals 24.
Okay.
That way I'm consistent with it down here where I'll take any weight the other guy when he had 24.
Gotcha.
If you want to make those two notations, Ms. Tammy.
170.
the name?
It was, liable on May the 6th, the instant number 167, 11721. Instant number 167, 1721. Want to add 18 months. That's 6 and make it 24.
So going from 179 to 191.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So with those two changes, I would entertain a motion to adopt the docket, including those two changes.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? Anything else? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, great.
I want to say one thing. I appreciate the feedback on this, because if I do something and, that we should be keeping with this, like, yeah, that's fine with me. I'm not going to get offended if anybody changes any of mine, okay?
No, I mean, I think that's the system.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for, is we can all come together and kind of talk about it. So I think it's great. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Carr. Moving on, Mr. Frank, you're the next tab.
Oh, okay. I had, on the removal credits, they had taken 72 and I took 104, and, sorry, I bumped that to 47, so I took a total of 75 months.
Please.
And giving back, they had taken 47 months and I reduced that by 20 to 27.
Okay.
And, anyway, I'm just, we still working things out, but I'm tickled if you're asking how things I'm seeing.
Yes, please.
I've said it a million times. I'm tickled with where we were when, as Mary said, or we all know, the zero was being, it was just the fallback they were all using. And now they're taking it seriously. And I had a conversation with the state rep and state senator the other night and told them that exactly what you wanted to happen. Inmates that are doing their time, keeping their heads down, they get their credit hours. I think Tennessee's decided to do that and showing that they can behave and be part of society. But the ones that are terrorizing the prisons, misbehaving in prison, assaulting, and not following orders are going to be staying in longer, which is what we were concerned about, the ones that were going to get out and hurt people and be out in the public. So I told them, I said, what you wanted to happen is happening.
Great.
So
Great.
anyway, they were thrilled and they said, that's exactly what we wanted to hear with what we did with this bill.
Well, good. I'm glad they're happy. They're happy.
You look at.
I'm tickled. Okay, any comments, any feedback for Mr. Frank's docket? And we need to cover?
Make a motion to accept it.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded. All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, great. Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. Mr. Lindsay, I think you are the next tab, sir.
The D board, according to the matrix, let me see, let me see where I'm at. Sorry, my computer without showing on my phone.
You're okay.
I'll be quick. The D board took away 48 credits. I restored 18 of those. And this is all according to the matrix. It was a total combined credits of 493, but they only had 248. So in layman terms, when you break it down, just to get to what was restored, 48 credits were removed, 19 of those were restored.
Okay, and it looks like you're adding 493 months?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
right? Okay, great. Okay, any trends or issues that you're seeing that you think or worth talking about or notating?
I will say, I'll go back to, and for all board members to understand, up until this meeting, these were all As. This was me looking at all As and going back from the beginning when it was 0 months. You still see a couple facilities, moving slow to catch on, but some of them, for the majority of mine, they're in the matrix. If it's a 9 to 12, they're giving them 9. If it's a 9 to 12, they're giving them 9. And like going back to Dr. Corporal, don't get credit where credit's due. So, and for some of them, I haven't had any of them just too far outside of the matrix. And so I believe they're trying to get there. Now, some of them, again, there is a few facilities, use Wiseman, where they're not looking at the matrix. But overall, the majority of the facilities are either there or trying to get close to it.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, we can take up a discussion about any particular cases, if anyone has anything, or we can entertain a motion. But did you have something else, sir?
I do this probably for the attorney in the room. Is when you see somewhat of a rape case, are we handling that? Are we waiting for that to go back to a DA, a prosecutor? Is that one of those charges that it goes back, the person gets recharged? Is this simply just an A infraction, or can they be criminally charged for those?
They can be criminally charged. So we are receiving on a quarterly basis the DA incident referral list.
Okay.
And so if you have a particular incident that you've noticed and you would like to know whether or not that has been referred for outside prosecution, there's two things I would say. Number one, we can definitely do that, but we receive them quarterly. So if you look at, for instance, if it's a January case and it's a rape case, and you'd like to know whether or not that's been referred, we can either wait until after March when we get that first quarter's report to see if that incident is on that report, or at that time, we can ask, as we continue to develop our rapport and relationship with the individual institutions, we can ask them specifically, has this one been referred for outside prosecution? And then if it hasn't, we can make a recommendation that it does. If it has, then we can wait and see. I mean, the individual board member, it's at their discretion how they want to mark it, if they want to wait and see what happens with that, or if they want to treat it like an A and whatever. So.
And our decision as a board member in the D board hearing has no bearing on the charge and the DA, correct?
No, yeah, that's separate. I mean, if there was on the off chance that the DA prosecuting the case wanted to look at the inmate's behavioral history, or, I mean, there are rules that controls that. I mean, could, but not for our purposes, it doesn't.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure when you see one of those things, the person that's being charged with that can't say, well, I've already been convicted in my hearing about this.
No,
Okay.
Very separate.
That's all I had to ask. Thank you, Stahl.
Yeah, absolutely. But is there anything you want to add, Ms. Wiseman? I mean, you've dealt with that directly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, issues? I would entertain a motion if there was one to adopt Mr. Lindsay's stop.
So moved.
Any second? Okay. Any discussion on the docket? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. Okay, Dr. Karpos, you are next, ma'am.
Okay, so my docket involves cases from the month of May. And in terms of removal, the D board removed 351 month credits. My recommendation would be for 575. That's a difference of 224. So I'm recommending an additional 224 be removed. And then on my restoration docket, I'm recommending that 40 credits be restored.
Great. Any particular issues or trends that you think are important to talk about or notate?
One thing that kind of jumped off the page in terms of looking at this particular set of cases is that, as we know, unfortunately, there are often times when officers are experiencing assault because things are thrown on them. But in addition to that, officers are being touched, either because someone's pushing them or somebody's actually punching them or hitting them. One case in particular that I looked at had to do with somebody, this is somebody who has 9 prior A's. And they struck an officer with open hand on the right forearm of the officer. And the board took 9, and I know that this can be subjective, but I felt that 12 was more appropriate, given the fact that the person had 9 priors. So, you know, I'm just very sensitive to the fact that these officers are under a tremendous amount of pressure. One case that also really stood out for me, this was attorney, had to do with an assault on an offender. But it so happened, and it's mentioned in the incident, that 2 officers needed medical attention and were taken to an outside hospital for medical attention. And so the board decided on 4. I took 24. So that was probably, you know, my biggest discrepancy between what the board did and what I thought really was more commensurate with what happened. Apart from the 2 officers that were taken for outside hospital treatment, a 3rd officer was actually treated because the offender managed to slam a grill gate on that 3rd officer. So I just really felt that this one stood out. And
Were those both attorneys?
no, the first one was not attorney. This particular case that ultimately involved these 3 officers was attorney. The first one that I spoke about, where was that? Enhanced it to 12. So many.
I just wonder, it's not a big deal.
The other one was at Riverbend, where
Okay.
the officer was struck on the forearm with an open hand.
I just wonder if we see in individual prisons, you know, particular offenses, you know, more often than others, drugs versus violence versus indecent exposures, whatever. So just curious if we were noticing a higher uptick in maybe, you know, violent cases attorney, but it sounds like it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of just spread
Sure.
across, you know, every day these folks are facing challenges to being able to carry out their duties.
Yeah, very good. Well, great, thank you. Okay, any preliminary discussion on any of those cases that Dr. Carpus brought? All right.
Motion to accept.
Great, seconded. Any discussion? All right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Carpus. Okay, moving on, Mr. Sharon.
So I reviewed 180 cases involving 237 inmates, found 17 errors. TDOC had taken 945 months of good credit time. I'm requesting an additional 86. On my restoration docket, I'm requesting 2 months be given back. One of the things the legislature asked us about the last time we were there, Mike, were people that stood out to us. I've got a couple.
Yes, please.
Thomas numbers for you, 625-088. This inmate has 21 Class A infractions in the last 18 months. And another one, 605-009, again, 21 Class A infractions in the last 18 months. I think you should be another.
You said 25 for the second one. And
21 and 21.
Oh, 21 and
21 Class A offenses in the last 18 months.
That is noteworthy. Thank you.
Does that include the prior case or?
No, prior Class A offense.
That's great.
If
Thank
you
you.
want to split me up, I had a few like that.
Yeah, please. I mean, the more information that we can gather
I
and
think Lambert
provide.
specifically asked us that.
Yeah.
We've run across.
Yeah, that we notice, you know, and then if we want to break down further into what specific offenses, you know, 19 out of the 20 are assaults kind of thing. You know, so yeah, please let me know if anything that jumps out to you, anything that we have noticed, whether it's institutional, whether it's offense related, whether it's individual, that we say, hey, this is noteworthy. You know, someone would want to know about this, then I will be happy to take that. Okay, thank you, sir.
I have a question.
yes.
When you did that, then did you, if they gave them 9, did you respect that or did you back?
Absolutely respected the D-board, yes.
Yeah. Why did you say that?
Because they've asked us to, when we're visiting the prisons, they, plead is not the right word, but so we respect. our
Okay, I mean, I have
students
2
within the
usually,
matrix.
but,
Yeah. No,
but I
unless
don't
it's,
like to, which I know is what.
unless it's an assault or one of the 6 or 7 that they can go for 24 months. Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Sherman? Ms. Dockett? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept.
Great. Any second?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. We will get those out. And now we will revisit, Ms. Wiseman, you're actually the first tech, your docket is. So if you found that, the floor is open.
Okay. I have, I think 40 cases. No, it says 62 and I don't know why, because I've counted it, it's 40, but, that I found were not in compliance with the matrix. Just in a variety of facilities. I didn't notice any particular trends.
Okay.
And my total were 149 months of credit removed. The matrix dictated 328 should have been removed. The difference of 107. So, I have to accept my docket.
We'll take an entertain a motion if anyone has one, or unless there's discussion about it.
I'll make a motion to accept.
So seconded. Okay. Any discussion on any of the cases? Okay, great. All in favor of adopting Ms. Wiseman's docket in total? Please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Well, that looks like all the dockets. By my numbers, it looks like we are increasing the number of months that we'll be taking from inmates by 1,399. And we will be returning 182 months to them. So that's not days, that's months. So very impressive. Thank you everyone for your hard work and double checking these and working things over. Okay. See where we're at on the agenda. I think we're close to being done here. Okay. Now is the portion of the meeting where we would entertain public comment. Seeing none, Chair, do you see any that we need to entertain? I don't see anyone online. There's no one in the room. So we'll go ahead and move on from that. Real quickly, would we like to discuss our next meeting date and time in August? And I know that we had previously discussed officially moving the majority of the meetings from the second week to the third Wednesday of the month. We can entertain a motion to fully adopt that now if we want, or we can just worry about August.
I'd like if we can go on and set it, because we gives us time to get it moved, because this one, we ended up getting called with no rooms in Nashville.
Okay, so let's take that up first. When would we like to set our next public meeting for August?
Is it the 20th?
I'm
The
good. with
20th would be the
whatever.
third Wednesday of the month.
We've got 4 members that have, children and to work around as far as fall breaks and all that. I'm good. Any means that works out for the majority of.
Okay, Ms. Carr.
I like the third Wednesday or the third because it gives us a little more time to get our cases in and get them to you and get them distributed. If that's okay. The third works for me.
Great, okay, so the August 20th would be the third Wednesday of the month,
I'll make a motion. We change it to the third Wednesday of every month.
okay? Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Say aye. Okay, all opposed? Say nay. Hearing none, sounds like passed unanimously. So moving forward, we will try and plan our public meetings for the third Wednesday of the month. More specifically, it looks like August 20th would be our next public meeting. Is there any problem with that particular date? Okay,
I was looking at September is the 17th. Do we not have in front of the Congress?
the 16th.
16.
16th is,
Okay, so that works. We could come in and be there for that. Okay. That would be the third Wednesday. I guess not Congress, the legislature.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Coming up in the world.
We didn't get that invite yet.
Who do you know, Lee?
I'm not planning on being at that one.
Tennessee
Good for you,
Congress.
speak well.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So that settles. August will be the 20th. September looks like it will be the 17th. If we need to adjust, we can do that. But moving forward, we'll prepare for our meetings.
We're in the legislature, the 16th,
Yes,
public meeting, the 7th.
yes. Yeah, and that will be reflected. Tammy, can you reflect that on the IDLP calendar when you get a chance?
Yes,
So the next public meeting will be August 20th, and then September will be the 17th, and the sunset hearing will be on the 16th.
Do you know what time that was? Do you remember? I know it's me.
Okay, great. Well, I will turn it back over to the chair to close out the meeting if there's nothing else.
Is there any further discussion from any of the members and topics that need to be brought up?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Sounds like the ayes got it.
Well, at least you're off the hour, I'll say so. Okay.
Oh, let
We
me
all
check.
together?
Tuesday, I believe we set it for like, we have
Oh, we
a
all
meeting on
together.
Tuesday. So Tuesday,